Hi guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Today I thought that I would just do something a little more basic. I have already done the rest of my makeup, but I wanted to do a beginner contour tutorial for those of you who are new to the makeup community or new to makeup at all, that we're just looking for a different way to contour because, people like to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to do two different kinds of contouring today. I've already done my foundation. I do have a couple pimples right now, but we're going to try to blend around them. I am going to be using the Fenty Match Sticks as a cream contour, and I'm going to be using the e.l.f. contour palette for the other. So I'm going to do two different half and half, so that way you guys can see how each one works and just pick whichever one works for you. A lot of people use powder contour, which is I lean towards a little more just because I have pretty oily skin, but so we're gonna do the cream on this side just because I'm breaking out and I don't want to ruin my coverage. So you just kind of, you do a little, you can see where your contour line should be to line through makes your face look snatched. So I've already found mine. It's usually starts at this little hairline right above my ear, so I just kind of draw a little triangle there. And then I draw in my jawline and just do a little bit of a contour on my forehead right there, so you can see. Blending is really key. I mean, you can draw whatever, it's just how well you blend it. If you don't blend it, it's gonna look just not good. And if you overblend it, it's not gonna look like you even did anything. So it's just really finding that middle ground of blending. So that's how I applied it on this side. And then I'm gonna be using this is the basic e.l.f. contour palette. And this is what it looks like. And I'm just going to take My Little Pony, just ColourPop makeup brush. You can use whatever makeup brush. Sometimes I'll use these like wider brushes, just for more like of a line to draw. You can use small brushes if you want it to be really precise. I kind of like it to look a little flushed when I use powder, so I take the darkest shade just because I have darker skin. And that's what works for me. So I just kind of powder on here and see it's the same. Now the powder one, I go a little bit longer on my face and I just kind of make it a little bit darker up here. And then same thing, we're gonna do a little on the jawline. And then with the forehead, we're gonna go a little darker because the other side is super dark with the cream contours. So you can see how this is kind of going. And so with the powder, it's not gonna be as like harsh and it's gonna be a little bit easier to blend. But I do think that the cream blends pretty nicely too. It's a little bit harsher of a contour, so if you really want to look like snatched, it's gonna help. So I'm just gonna darken up here just so that it matches the other side so you can see. Next we're gonna do the highlighting areas. Now for the cream, this color is actually not light enough for me, but I've been using it still. It is the shade Bamboo in the Fenty Match Sticks. The other shade that I used this was Mocha. And so then you just highlight wherever you want, like a little bit brighter of your face. You don't even have to do this, to be honest. I just, it's part of the routine, and if you're really interested in, you know, making your face, you just highlight the good parts that you want like a little bit of an extra glow, and it really contrasts with the contouring here. So I'm just gonna, I draw a little bit of a line. See, it doesn't show up. The other thing with the cream is that it kind of takes away your foundation, so I am seeing my pores underneath here, and so it really just takes a lot of blending just to cover that back up. I'm not a huge fan of using the cream highlight just because of that. I have to really rub it into my skin, and it just takes away all that foundation that I just put on. But we're going to show you how to do it. So I just highlight under my eyes here, see right there, and then we'll do this here. I do it on my chin and the widow's peak right here, which is right by your lip, and then right down the nose, and then we'll just do one little right there, so because I'm going to show you how to do it with the powder. So the powder, they have these two like whitish colors right here. Now I don't know if I have a brush that I can do this with. Let's see. We'll try this one. It's kind of like more of a fan. I'm gonna take the whitest color just for some extra highlight, and we're just gonna kind of brush. See, it really lightens up that area there. I didn't even put that much, and it's not taking away any of that coverage from my foundation. So just kind of lighting up that, and then I'm just gonna add some around this little dot here. If you have oily skin like I do, I really would recommend just the powder contour, just because I think it sets a little bit nicer. Especially if you have like, you know, like a primer. It's a lot easier to blend things on top of your face when it's powdered. But if you prefer, I do, you know, I still use it. It's just, it glides, it's very precise, it's very, I'm doing that a lot. So, alright, so then we're gonna blend. I am just gonna take this beauty blender, and it is very dirty from lots of applications, but we're gonna use it. So, we're gonna start with the side. I'm just gonna get this chin real quick. And this jawline. I'm gonna get all these like highlighting spots first, because then you don't have to worry about the contour color blending in with your highlights. So you want it to be a little separate. So I'm using like the flatter end on some of these under eye highlights, just because it's blending a little bit nicer without taking away a lot of, it's like more of a buffing. So that way it doesn't take away a lot of that coverage. And then do up here. Now you really can contour like however you want. This is just how I line my face. I am gonna just real quick contour my nose. I always use the cream contour for that, because that is like, you'd have to, if you were gonna do the powder, you'd want to take a very, very small brush. But I'm just gonna do this today, which is what I normally do. And you're basically just making your nose look smaller. I just take it from the bridge and just draw it down, and then I do a little closing right there. Look like a deer. So we're gonna kind of blend that out first. This is the Fenty contour brush. I'm not a huge fan of this brush, except for super precise things like my nose contour, because it's just, it doesn't really blend as well as I would like it to, and because it's the nose, it's supposed to be a little bit harsher, so that way you can really tell your nose looks smaller. So we're just gonna take that in And then we're gonna go and contour this bad boy here. You can also blend with a brush for sure. I just like the idea of pressing the Beauty Blender in to my skin so that way it all blends super nicely. And like I said, it's more of like a buff, so, and you really just have to know how to blend. And so like, see, that's blended, but that's still like, if I walk down the street and be like, hey, you didn't blend enough. So you just gotta keep going until you can tell your face looks snatched, but it's not crazy. Okay, so that's blended. We're just gonna go ahead and do the rest of this. And really just blend into your hairline as much as you can. And for these parts, I'm really pressing, like, a lot of pressure up here and just dragging it into my hairline. Where like down here, I'm going as light as possible just to blend. But like the jawline, you really don't want that to be streaky at all. So you just, you don't want it to be hard or, be able to tell. You're just softly defining the fact that you have a jaw. So I'm gonna start on the bottom, blend this out. The powder is so much easier to blend out just because it's already like barely there. So, which is why you want to be very careful with blending it. The powder can be super easy to blend with a brush. So you just, take a brush. I would recommend like one of these fuller ones. And you just, drag up. I always drag up, never blend down, because then it's just gonna streak. So I'm going to blend this up. Okay. And then really just dragging that into the hairline. See over here is a little bit darker, so we just blend. Alright, so then I always just take one of these brushes and I just go over the whole thing, anything that, looks too harsh, or I don't want to like ruin with the Beauty Blender, but I just want a little bit softer. Just take one of these fat brushes. You can also use like a finishing powder, like this is e.l.f.'s finishing powder right here. We're just gonna take a little bit of that and just, so it just sets everything and finalizes the contour. And then I add blush and highlight, but that's a basic contour. You can see it looks super snatched. It's just a little bit of extra makeup, just a little bit of extra time in blending. So that is that. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And thank you.